still preparing students of tomorrow in today's classroom, preparing them for jobs that we're often told haven't even been thought of yet, preparing them for a world which we really can't fathom what it'll look like in the next couple of decades. In fact, some say we can't even fathom what it'll look like in the next couple of years. Often we focus on higher education at the time when our youngsters get into the job market. But today we thought we'll take a step back and look at how our schools are preparing students for tomorrow. Schools, of course, where it all begins. A very special panel with me. Thanks also so much for taking our time to be with us today. Let me introduce them quickly. Sudha Gupta, Chairperson, Mother's Pride and Presidium Schools. Pramod Sharma, Director and Principal, Genesis Global School. And Praveen Jain, Co-Founder and Director, Pathways. Thanks all so much for being with us. Sudha Gupta, ma'am, if I were to ask you that, what is, do you believe, the most important responsibility that a school has towards its students in today's time? What would you say?
I think schools are building foundation. First of all, that's very important for future of tomorrow. I mean, whether it is students or it is the nation or it is the Mother Earth. So foundation has to be built very, very strong. I mean, it depends whether we want to build a small house on the foundation, so or we want to build a monumental building on it. So if we want to build a monumental building, the foundation has to be deeper and stronger. So I think curriculum, whatever it can be, policies, it can be whatever. So we are here to basically think of what is our role, what is our responsibility here. So apart from everything else, long-term goals is what is more important. Tomorrow, as you said, that, you know, we don't know, things are changing so fast, technology is changing so fast. When we were young, we used to memorize tables. Now it is calculators. The technology is changing. So the only thing that's going to remain constant is change. So we have to prepare our children, first of all, to accept change in
and
future.
To be able to adapt to it.
And to be able to adapt with it, to be able to take learn accordingly. I think we have to make our children lifelong learners. So accepting things, learning new ways, and then taking action, and then to be successful. That's one thing. Second, as you said, you know, soft skills, life skills, which is wherever our children go, whether it is in their personal life or professional life, whatever they do, life skills is something which is going to be used.
And life skills is something that I want to look at closely in just a bit. But Mr. Sharma, if I were to ask you, what do you believe is an educationist, what do you believe is a school's key role and responsibility, the one thing?
We need to provide a whole lot of activities so that everybody can find something or the other. If you provide 20 sports, then somebody who's not physically very active can also choose a sport. So in the same way, we need to have very diverse kind of activities and sports curriculum.
That's an important point you're making, because there are many who would say that, you know, we tend to focus on academics so much. The point that ma'am made that, you know, once upon a time rote learning, many would argue that what has changed, frankly, that debate will always carry on. But so you're saying there's so much that can instill this confidence and joy. Really, it doesn't have to be in the classroom.
I suppose that is most important part, whether the child is looking forward to going to school that day.
Mr. Jain, if I were to ask you in the larger education scenario, the school scenario, the larger education space in India, this, of course, many would say is utopian. It's what we aspire to, that yes, children should feel happy, they should be confident, they should be learners for life. But there are others who would say that we are a long way off from it. How frustrating is it for someone in this space to see it so close?
You know, like today, besides the students, parents need to be educated, probably what is happening. And what school's main role is not today to teach them, it's only to make them to know how to solve the problems in future which is going to come. Today you have 10 sorts of problems, but who knows, after 10 years there could be other problems. If you know only the formulas or tables and do that thing, you won't be successful that time. So what a Pathway vision is that to prepare a student as a person who could be ready for in the future for facing anything in a global world. So that's what, and for that there are many things which needs to be done in the school. And a child is allowed to be exploring, make mistakes and learn by making mistakes.
And that's an important point, isn't that, ma'am? Because in our society, failure is something that traditionally we haven't looked at well. It's not like the West where it's not held against you. You know, it's okay to fail, it's okay to start again, it's okay to fail again, as long as you are learning, as long as you're sort of adapting all of that. There's of course a new generation of our entrepreneurs and startup founders who are learning from failure, but as a society, it's not something that we adapt easily to, and our children are sort of taught very early on that winning is everything.
I take it up from there, you know, he said parents' education is very important. So that's something very important. School and parents have to work hand in hand.
But ma'am, that sounds right. But I mean, is that really possible?
It is possible.
It is possible.
It is possible. I've been taking parenting seminars. Till now, I've taken some 1 lakh parents. And it really makes a difference, although it is tough. But we can't stop because something is tough. So we
What are
have
the kind
to.
of problems, ma'am, that you would face, sort of like, what are kind of thoughts that would hit you?
A lot of expectations over expectations from children nowadays. I mean, when we were young, we used to really play out and do what we wanted to do. Now the entire 24 hours clock is planned for a child, and there are lots and lots of expectations. I don't say that we should not expect, but we should give our children space and allow them to be. Allow them to be children, enjoy life, learn from their own experiences. And when you said failure, that's something very, very close to my heart. You know, we prepare our children for dealing with success because we always want them to be successful. I think we should prepare them to deal with failures. No matter how knowledgeable we are, no matter how talented we are, how even confident we are. I think confidence is important. But I think at one point of time, if we are not emotionally strong, if we cannot deal with our upsets, our frustrations, our irritations in life, I don't think we can utilize any of our trainings and any of our learnings.
Which is why we need a 360-degree approach, isn't that, Dr. Sharma? Because you need society, you need parents, you need schools, you need family, you need everyone to come together. The point that ma'am is making, the stress, the unfortunate incidents that we keep hearing about, because again, we've told our students, and unfortunately, it's not just telling our students, but our system is such that if you don't get 100%, you don't make it to the top institutions, you're expected to really get an A+++ now. You know, we have come to that. It is, and it's just a bubble.
But it needs to change, and all of us are understanding that it is not possible for a child to continuously get 100% in every subject, and it is more important for him to be a critical thinker, more important to be a problem solver, more important to be creative, and these are the skills which will be required an inquirer, as we all know. So I think the whole approach needs to change. The schools need to be nurturers rather than just do assessment all the time. So I think like it used to be swanta sukhay, apne sukh ke liye karna chahiye. So it needs to move into that area. The schools need to move about, you need to think about happiness. She talked about stress. Now, how many schools do meditation? And how many, today the whole world is talking about mindfulness and the workshops on mindfulness and how these techniques can be used in day-to-day life to remove the stress and to improve relationships. I think time has come that we need to, schools need to start thinking on
Mr.
this.
Jain, we've been talking about the system and its flaws and what needs to be done, and how it's the point that Mr. Sharma is making, that we need to realize that students can't be maxing every paper. Certainly all students can't be maxing everything every time. It's not possible, and there can't be any sort of one size fits all. We have to be prepared for these diversities. But do you believe that we're even sort of, despite all the talk, there's any action on really seeing this real change in the system, as it were?
See, for sure, like in India, it's a very old history of Gurukul system, where academics was not the only thing, and they were taught skills. But when Britishers came, they changed the system. They wanted babus. That's why they created BA and MA. BA and MA was only to get their babu and clerks. Somehow, and that's why the Indian NCRT, they continued with all these things. But when we talk about international education, there is no space for failure. Like in IB, there are grades. There are 6 subjects. If they get normal grade in 6 subjects, they get diploma. But then there is certificate. If you are able to do even 3 or 4 subjects, you are not fail. You get that certificate, and wherever in the world, they have the opportunities to go for that university.
Sure.
And similarly, like from grade 9, they are giving choices. And it is not like what CBSE, that either it's science stream, commerce stream, or
I see the point you're making.
yeah,
Right.
They have to choose one subject from each group, like one sciences, one humanities, one English, one maths, something like that. Until grade 12, they have multiple choices to look for what they want to do. They have, whether a person who wanted to do something like in business could go for engineering, could go for any other thing. So that 4 years prepares a child to think for his future.
Right, which is of course what we need. But if I could just ask you all to take a step back from your own institutions and look at the larger picture for a moment, because the critics would say that students who come to all of you are perhaps coming from the more privileged backgrounds. There are students who really have the point you're making, do these different boards, have the world really at their door. But if you look at the country, the size of India, if you look at our numbers and see the education that is available to every child, we're still not in a position to guarantee basic quality. We're not even saying top world-class quality, but quality, reasonably decent quality education to every child in the country. That is our big problem, isn't that, ma'am?
No, I really feel that in that case, every school is a good school, because when we're talking about future, I mean, we're talking about what kind of human beings, what kind of citizens do we want to create. So what is the purpose of education? So I've just coined 3 words for it, that to be able to live a life which is happy, successful and powerful. When say happy is happy, successful is converting your dreams into reality, and powerful is contributing to others. So I think it's beyond curriculum, and it's beyond facilities, and it is beyond boards. Any teacher in a school, in a village, I think sometimes they do a better job in inculcating positive attitude in children. When we're talking about life skills and soft skills and your courage and decision making, these things, I think it doesn't depend on any curriculum, it doesn't depend on any facility also.
But we're also looking at a scenario where teachers don't turn up in schools, where schools are schools naam ke vaste, for instance. And the big problem with teachers in this country, if you ask a group of youngsters today how many want to get into teaching, and you know they're the more privileged, they've been to our top institutions, I'm willing to bet that very few would raise their hands, wouldn't they, Dr. Sharma? So we've sort of taken this sort of pride in this. We haven't made teaching also mainstream. So we have a whole generation that doesn't even want to get into it.
Yes and no.
Okay.
But I want to take it from what Mr. Jain said about CBSE. You see, it is the mental block is in our minds about science and commerce and humanities.
It's still
CBSE has not said that you divide them into these streams. It is the schools which, because of their comfort levels, they have divided the children into streams. CBSE allows you to give any subject at any point, and you can interdisciplinary subjects can be given out. But the issue here is also what you talked about, teacher absenteeism. Right to education, and when it came, it was a fantastic step.
And meant to be a game changer.
Yes, but there was a lot of expectation from the governments. The government school standards, the government school facilities. Today, the situation in this country is that the good schools complete the practical syllabus, and they have facilities to complete the practical syllabus. The bad schools have nothing. The practical examination in this country, from schools to colleges and to the universities, is a total farce.